Focus TV Network.
And we are back in West Hollywood, and we have an awesome actor on the show, David Lipper.
Woo!
You can recognize him in Full House and Fuller House.
That's right.
But he's also did an episode of Scorpion that is premiering on CBS on Monday. It's going to be epic. Yeah. He also wrote a film that he's starring in, so he's not just an actor, he's also a writer, and we're so excited to have him on.
Woo! Yay!
Yay!
Thunderous applause. I can't hold on.
Yay! Yay!
It's to die down a little. All right.
So I geeked out when I found out you were coming on the show. I looked up all of the old Full House episodes. Oh, so fun. Your character was the best, Viper.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the first episode and they're like, you get to smash a guitar on TV. Like, you know, like Pete Townsend back in the day.
That's awesome. You're getting paid to smash a guitar.
Yeah, I got paid to take an electric guitar and smash a Marshall amp. I mean, which is what we all fantasize about in rock camp.
I would. And then you also, the song was you created the song, right? You improvised the song.
I actually wrote a few things that were on the show. First episode, there was just a guitar solo that was me versus Bob Saget in a duel
nice.
To make it onto the Hot Daddy and the Monkey Puppets band. With Stamos, yeah. That was actually, they had Saget, so they had a guy literally in the wings of the studio with an electric guitar watching him and just kind of doing this, and Saget was trying to follow him. It's all live, like there's no playback, unless we had like a club scene where you saw the whole band, and then what we would do is pre-record, and then they'd play that back.
That's great.
But when I was there with an acoustic guitar, that was me playing. Yeah.
Wow.
You looked so skilled. I was going to ask you. So you're a skilled musician.
You know, skilled.
He's got skills.
I have some.
He's
Yeah.
a rock star.
Emerson College gave me a degree in musical theater, and that gave me some of the musical knowledge.
You went to and you finished college, and that's a relief.
Kids, I finished school.
Yeah, stay in school.
I know that Jennifer Lawrence dropped out of high school, and everyone's like, "Who needs school?" No, stay in school. I wanted to finish university, and I did.
Emerson,
yeah.
I have a few friends.
A lot of great people came out of Emerson.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
The Fonz. Some people don't know. Henry Winkler came from Emerson College.
I'm imitating the Fonz right now.
You are? Yeah. I thought that was an homage to Viper.
We're the same height, I think, too. He also goes to the same temple as me, but anyway.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So, no, but a lot of people on the behind the cameras section of the industry come out of Emerson.
I love it.
And Kevin Bright, who was an Emerson graduate, gave me my first show. Now,
there you go.
Kevin Bright, it was Kaufman Bright Crane, created a little hit called Friends. And the other pilot that season was my show called The Secret Life of Harry Green, and I was Harry Green. And my co-stars were Tiffany Amber Thiessen playing my girlfriend, Kaylee Coco playing my little sister, Giovanni Ribisi playing my buddy, and Hilary Swank playing my other buddy.
Well, there you go.
And these are the writer-creators of Friends. Can you imagine? These were their two shows.
Yeah.
And Friends, of course, got picked up and became a big hit. We actually tested even higher than Friends, and they thought for sure we were going to go. And then, this is our business. Fox got the rights to football, and they thought, well, we need a sports-themed show to keep that football audience from Sunday football. And they took us off the.
It's a brutal biz, man.
You know, literally, we were getting ready to gear up, and we got bumped off the list, and that was that. And then they were like, "Oh God, did we make a mistake?" After Friends became the biggest.
You got to get used to rejection in this. I mean, not that you were rejected. I mean, it is a form of it, right? Your show was.
I've had so many shows come and go. I mean, look, I joined Full House in '94, '95. Should I say that out loud? I don't think so.
No, it's good.
And I'm like, okay, this is a hit show. I'm going to be on TV for at least another few years on this thing. And then they get canceled after 8 seasons. And you're like, oh, my God. You know.
Like the one we got on.
Yeah, it came on the last season, right? And it's like, all right.
You didn't picture that happening. No way.
So the pilot we just talked about doesn't go. Then Full House. Then I get put on the Martin Short show. And that had like a 13-episode up, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Because I was a sitcom guy back in the 90s, and they were just like, oh, this guy's funny, let's put him on, I don't know, back then I was funny, not anymore. Yes. But they're like, let's put him on another sitcom. They put me on the Martin Short show. That's picked up for 13, so you figure, well, at least I'm going to do 13 episodes. That got yanked after 1 or 2 episodes, and there was that. And then you're like, okay, what's next? And then they found another show, and so on and so on and so on. And then all of a sudden, the sitcom stopped, and us actors have to be versatile. We have to reinvent ourselves.
Yes.
You know, and you rape Tiffany Amber Thiessen in 1 movie. And then next thing you know, ABC offers me a deal, and they're like, we want you to do a bunch of movies for us, and the next one you're going to play this true story about a guy who cheats on his girlfriend, and then she says, I'll stay with you if you kill the girl I cheated on you with. It's called Love's Deadly Triangle, The Texas Cadet Murders. I play the lead guy. True story. It's an insane story. Like these 2 honor roll kids. He was going into the Air Force Academy, she was going to the Navy Academy, and that's why they called it the Cadet Murders. And it was a whole scandal because this movie was airing before the trial. It was a whole thing about First Amendment rights. And I think Dan Rather, this is how old I am, Dan Rather, I think, was was doing the news on CBS and literally had me on the show, you know, talking about the First Amendment issue here. The New York Times put me on the front page. It was a huge, huge story. You know, more so because we aired this movie before the trial. And my argument always was, if O.J. Simpson can get a fair trial, right, with every piece of news that came out about that, I think the amount of people who see my little movie, you know, you'll find a jury pool that hasn't.
Okay,
good. You know, that was my big, my big talking
it's
point.
a good one.
But some stations wear it in Texas because of that. Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
So, but yeah, I mean, so we reinvent ourselves. So all of a sudden, I'm the bad guy. I'll be the guy on Scorpion on Monday night. I think it's 10 o'clock. At least here it's 10 o'clock. Okay. And I'm the main bad guy in this episode. It's a really, really great part. It's a really fun episode. And Robert Patrick is an old friend. We did a movie together called Lost After Dark. Came out a few years ago, where him and I have some very good scenes together, and it takes place in the 80s, which is fun. They gave me this big Burt Reynolds mustache.
Yeah, and you're really versatile. I saw that you mentioned in an interview that you haven't been typecast, you haven't just stuck to one genre. You go from comedy to drama to horror movies.
You know, it's true, and I think it's one of the things that's kept me working so consistently.
Because you do work consistently for sure compared to other actors.
I definitely, you know, in comparison for sure. And I mean, like, just look at this year. So I've got Monday, Scorpion's coming out. May 1st, The Unwilling, where I'm playing the lead guy. And this is a guy with OCD and agoraphobia, which was great because I got to write it for myself. And as actors, right, as you'll know from technique class, you know, you won't have as many obstacles as you can to make it more difficult. Because if you can fight, if you can fight through those obstacles to win your objective, it just makes us that more invested into the performance. So I gave a guy, you know, because I'm crazy.
100 obstacles?
Yeah, I said, I'll take OCD and I'll take agoraphobia. You know, the agoraphobia was more so like, why don't they just leave the house?
That's so smart.
I can't leave the house because I have an illness that says you can't leave the house. But the OCD is great because it's like you can't just open a door. You've got to turn the locks 3 times.
Oh,
and you slam
many
it 3
different times.
You know, and they're like, just open the door. You know, he's coming.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it makes for good drama. So that's coming first. And then a few weeks later, I'll be on Code Black with Rob Lowe and Marcia Gay Harden. Really, really good episode. They gave me a great part in this. They were lovely, all the EPs on that show.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a really good show. And they've got 2 sound stages on the Disney lot, like full-time going. So that's a big, big
awesome.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So fun.
Do you think by starting so young, it's given you a leg up when it comes to this?
I mean, there's no question. What blows me away are kids who are just good. Like, you know, it's like I was watching The Voice last night.
Good show.
I may or may not watch The Bachelor too. Don't hold me to that. No.
Good show.
Okay.
I mean,
here and there. But like, they had a girl who's 14, and who's gonna. I'm like, I was terrible at 14. You know what I mean? Like, I look at like.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah,
I look at some old clips of me from when I was 18. So I was on a TV show in Montreal, up in Canada.
When you were 18.
When I was 18. Wow. And I like look back at that and I go, God, was I bad? I mean, like
just soap opera-ish, you'd say, extreme in your emotions, you'd say.
Just had no technique and no application of technique, and And that, you know, it's like a basketball player. Like, you need to show. You ever read the book Outliers? It's a great book.
Yes.
You've
And
read
they,
it?
they
Kelly-
say,
Kelly's smart.
okay, so they talk about,
Of course I haven't. She has.
and really, really pretty. Okay,
Yeah, oh
so they got,
Viper just called me pretty.
you're like, forget the smart, just tell me the pretty one.
You know CPR?
Yeah. Hold on. Okay. So in the book, they say the magic formula is 10,000 hours. So if you've done anything for 10,000 hours, you'll hit that supreme level. And so if a basketball player shoots free throws for 10,000 hours, he's going to get pretty good at it. He'll nail that technique. The same as an actor.
Yeah.
So for me, it took 10,000 hours until I got really good. I did a lot of terrible work in my youth.
But you were still working even when you said you were bad.
I was.
Time to do it. That's the time to make mistakes.
You know, it was
But
a
I'm not
lot-
going to start working until I'm good. It's not going to be like I suck now.
Well,
and then
that's
you
what
start-
we can't do. Okay, we can't go, I'm not good enough, so I'm going to stop myself. Let them stop
let
you.
them decide.
You know?
There's a lot of acting on TV.
Let's be
It's
hard on
true.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Let's be hard on ourselves. Let's push ourselves to be better. Let's work hard. Let's keep applying
Yes.
technique. Let's keep studying technique. But let's let the director yell cut, not me going, oh, that sucked. I want a better
Exactly.
take. That's what we don't do.
Do you
Yeah.
think there's some actors who are great at auditioning but terrible at acting?
Sure.
Usually they have the
No,
opposite.
I think that
problem, right?
some.
No.
I
Because
think
it's still
I
just
think
that-
yeah.
yeah.
I think there are some actors that are probably that are at a better level for when better actors are at a worse level, but then when they're supposed to step up, they don't apply
Okay.
the work.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Yes.
so it's like
Wow.
everybody in that first audition is probably at a lower level. Although usually I put a lot of work into auditions. But they're supposed to get to the next level when it's
they're filming,
performance,
yes.
and they may not. You
Yes.
know, because they don't have the ability.
Gotcha.
So that's where you'll see the test.
You'll see after when they land the role why the movie bombed and then they don't work again. You see it constantly.
You'll hear
I
that.
can
Oh
name
my
an
God,
actor,
they were
but I
so
won't,
good
but-
in the audition.
Yes.
And usually, the actors that I know, they have the opposite problem. They're incredible on set.
The good actors are better once they're getting into the
Yeah,
work
yeah, yeah.
on set. I've
Yeah.
seen great I did a test for a pilot with Bob Newhart.
Oh,
Okay.
cool.
Huge, famous comedian guy, was on the Newhart Show for a million years. After the Newhart Show, they started a new show. Peasley and Pillett, I think, were the show brought me in. And this is the worst reader I've ever read with.
It's just,
At an audition, I had to read with
just
him.
looking down. the
And
whole
he's literally
time.
like, yes. No, that's not it. Of course, I'm with you.
It's like trying to react to
And
that.
I'm like,
It's like out of La La Land for you.
Oh, yeah, you had a La La Land moment.
was it a La La Land moment? All right.
Where just the audition is.
Exactly, the La La Land moment.
I mean, literally, and I'm looking at the producers, and everything he does, they're just
Yes.
hysterical because he's dropping his glasses, and he's like,
Oh, wow.
he's like this schlump. He's just so funny. But he literally, and so then I found out he is notoriously the worst cold reader on the planet, and his buddy, I think it was Jerry Van Dyke.
Kelly gets away with acting.
Because he's so good
Yeah.
once he knows his lines and everything.
Okay.
But cold reading, he's
just
and I think his buddy Jerry Van Dyke came out once and said, you know, he's my good buddy, but like I had to read with him once and he killed me. And it's like, and you know, I was just like, there was nothing I
You
could
can't
do.
let that throw off your performance, though. Did you?
It's really tough in comedy because, you know, there's so much about the timing
Energy,
of
right?
the
Yeah.
lines coming and going and covered. Sometimes it's in threes. He said that, she said that, he said that.
Yeah, it's fast.
And if it
right?
goes, he said that, she said that,
just pausing a long time.
you're
and then-
waiting for the he
Yeah,
said
you're
that.
waiting for that.
And it's like, you know,
Yeah.
or it's like if you watch my,
Yes.
you know, my episode on Fuller House last year, you know, we have that moment where you go, I'm here and my name is Steve, and one guy goes, Steve, and like, Steve, right? Because that's it comes in
Watch that
threes.
episode.
But like, you know, he would literally, you know, lose the line, and you're like, now what do I do?
Oh my God.
So yeah, you can get thrown in those situations, and you just
Can't let
gotta
it.
do the best you can.
Can't let
I know
that
everybody
throw
else. Yeah, everybody else is going
Can't.
through the same
Totally.
nonsense. But so, yeah, speaking of Fuller House, that was quite a thrill. I got a call from I bumped into Stamos, and you know he told
No
me
big deal.
The show was back.
Is that how it happened? Is that how that happened? He gave the idea of you coming back on or something by
No, I don't think it was John. I think there was there's sort of writers in that writers' room, and I think Behar, who's one of the main writers, was pushing for me to come back.
That makes sense. It's a high school reunion. Why not?
So
Well, I wasn't in her high school, which was one of the gags. So she's like, Viper, what are you doing?
The
here? You
writers
didn't
wanted
go
you
to
in
our high
so
school."
bad, they still made you.
They found a way.
They found a way.
And Jeff Franklin, unfortunately, was before my time. So he had run the show in the first few years. I'm not sure until what year, but then he got replaced as the showrunner by the two Marks. And so my character and that whole thing in season 8, he wasn't around for that. So I was concerned, when I heard about the show, and Stamos said, "Oh, it's back," and blah, I'm like, "Oh, great." I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't know me. Like, he's not going to put me on.
The fans know you, though.
But the fans,
they know
the
you.
Fans know you.
And there was a whole hashtag
20K
Viper
followers.
thing. Yeah.
Hashtag Viper campaign.
There was a whole campaign for Viper to come back, I
wow,
guess.
good.
Viper campaign.
And so Viper came back. And so what a trip. 20 years later, you come through
Come back on.
the same door and the same living room where I used to
such a
play the
trip.
guitar and sing to her. And
That's
it's like,
insane.
it's the same everything.
Wow.
And
That is
that first
awesome.
table read, they were so nice. And they were like, we have a very special guest star this episode. Let's give it for David Lipper. And people stood up and clapped and everybody hugged me. And it was like, I literally was like in tears.
It's a good
It was
feeling.
amazing.
That's a
family.
Yes,
That's
that
your
is.
And some
family.
people have not agreed to come back and do the show, and I don't understand why. Like, it's so nostalgic. It was so much
Right.
fun.
It's like
to
if
come back.
Seinfeld gets remade and you don't. so you don't
Seinfeld
wanna
may
come back.
get remade.
Yeah.
Listen, Murphy Brown is back.
Yeah.
Roseanne is back.
Yeah.
They're
It
all
was remade
coming
on Curb Your
back.
Enthusiasm, kind of, in a weird,
Yeah.
in a weird meta show type of way.
Madam Show.
Meta, it's like it's like a show within a show.
Yeah.
Because they brought it back on Curb.
Yeah.
Seinfeld, but it
Oh,
wasn't.
gotcha.
No,
Yeah.
but Seinfeld was on Ellen, and she was like, "Do you think you'll come back?" And he's like, "Yeah,
Wow.
Wow.
I'd come
there you
back."
go.
So,
Wow. That's
so I'm sure
Yeah.
there's an executive going, "What? I'll come back?"
So, your film Exodus from Shanghai.
Exodus
You
to
said-
Shanghai, yeah.
Yeah, Exodus through Shanghai. Two. All right, two.
Exodus.
Got it. To it. That was it also was a film where you could really relate to it because you said that you had family that was in the Holocaust.
So this is a great story, true story,
Yes.
about a guy named Dr. Ho, who was the Chinese Schindler. He was the consul general to Vienna, and he saved 20,000 Jews by issuing visas to Shanghai, right when the Nazis came in on the Anschluss. And then basically were sending all the Jews to the death camps. He issued them the visas, got them on the Orient Express, and got them on the train and out of there. And that's why there's a big Jewish community that ended up in Shanghai that people don't know about. One of them became a very big studio chief here, and Mike Medavoy. That
Yeah, he's
family.
big.
So that family and his
Producer,
son is a
yeah.
big manager now. That family, I believe,
Brian,
grew up.
yeah.
Brian.
Yeah.
I think they grew up in Shanghai, from what I know. There's so many stories of families that got saved there. And don't quote me on that. It's something I heard secondhand, but
Yeah.
maybe
That was
true.
an awesome
What a
film.
beautiful story.
So this
Yeah.
story
Yeah.
is a beautiful story. My friend Tony Hickox calls me, and he said, I'm in Romania, and I'm like, oh God, don't even start, because I had just gotten back from Romania. I had shot a 3 2-hour movie miniseries for the History Channel called Sons of Liberty, where I played Amos the Merchant. So I just finished a 4-month shoot on this miniseries in Romania,
Yeah.
which immediately followed 3 other movies I had done. I did one with Paul Schrader, with Nicolas Cage, and Anton Chelin before he died, called
my
Dying of the Light.
Oh, yeah.
And then I shot
Actually,
High
yeah.
Strung,
Yeah.
which they just shot a sequel for as a dance movie. And then I shot a Romanian film, and then the 4
And then you
months
went
on this
back.
miniseries. So all this had just happened. I finally get home a year later now. Okay, I shot-
Year you were gone from.
I was gone for,
Wow.
I shot 7 movies, 3 of these 2-hour movies plus 4 movies. Finally wrapped, finally get home, it's like October. And I was like, you gotta come to Romania, I got a movie. And I'm like, absolutely not. Not gonna get, I just got home.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, you're coming here in March. And you have to coach all these actors because they're first-time
You're
actors.
living that actor dream, man. You're working it.
And you're going to play the gay Nazi.
That's what you...
So the straight Jew is going to play the gay Nazi.
Wow, that's...
And that
you have range.
That is the greatest...
You have range.
greatest role of my life.
Oh,
I mean,
good for you.
You know, when we premiered at the Berlin Film Festival and German people are coming up going, was ist los? And I'm like, no German, man.
Wow.
You know, so I put on a really thick German accent for the whole movie and threw out a few German words here and there. But the Nazis were spitting in their graves that a Jew pulled off. And the other Nazi, who was an actual German guy, he had to wear the color contacts, but this guy here's got the blue eyes. No contacts.
Oh my God.
There are Jews with blue eyes. We have blue eyes.
Awesome. Well, David, it was awesome having you on.
It's great being here.
Good. I hope we weren't able to cover your whole career because it's endless. These films
endless.
and TV.
We'll just need to do it again.
Yeah, we'll have to do part two.
Part two.
Part two.
Yeah.
Keep us updated.
All right, guys.
We will. It was awesome. Thank you for coming on.
Pleasure.
Thanks, guys, for watching this episode of
Thank you.
Harry and Kelly.
Bye.